Greetings, this is Siddhi back with another episode of ITVoice Quick Bytes. In today's episode, we have the privilege of speaking with the director of Kamtech Associates Pvt. Limited. Kamtech Associates is one of the leading consultancy companies based in India providing turnkey project consultancy, compliance value creation services, quality management system, management consultancy and other services. Now, without further ado, let's hear our conversation with Mr. Saksham Gupta, who also is the founder of startup called EduBuild.
Namaskar audience, this is Avneet from ITVoice Media. Today we have Mr. Saksham Gupta with us, who is the director of Kamtech Associates Pvt. Limited. So let us learn about the organization from him.
Hi Avneet, thank you for interviewing me today. So Kamtech is a 21-year-old consultancy company. It was founded by my father, Mr. Gupta. So we started out in Jaipur itself. Now we are located pan-India in Pune, Bangalore, Lucknow, and we're also operating internationally in Germany as well as in London. So this journey started as a turnkey project management consultancy company. So we specialize in delivering end-to-end projects. So if you have any kind of project requirement, whether it's in engineering domain, whether it's in manufacturing domain, in agro and food processing domain, we help companies from the initial feasibility study to actually completing or creating a complete detailed project report, and then thereafter we also help them execute this entire project as a PMC. So that's one of our core verticals, which is turnkey project management consultancy. Thereafter, from 2002-2003 onwards, we also realized that if we not only we want to help industries with consultancy, but we also want to offer them IT services, because that was growing in a very important aspect. So since then we dived into the IT sector, where we started rolling out some of our own ERP and MIS solutions. Then we went into web development, mobile app development, and now we are a full-fledged software development house where we cater to all kinds of requirements for our clients.
Could you please share with our audiences the motivation behind creating such a comprehensive range of services?
Sure. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, that the vision for us was always to offer an end-to-end consultancy services, so that none of the aspect of business is left out when we're consulting or offering advice to our clients. So if the client comes to us not only from the consultancy side of the project, but also from IT implementation, and then the third area where we also support our clients is training and skills development. So that's when you look at any industry, right? How does it work? You have the industry running with if we talk about the manufacturing industry, you have the plants, the machinery, the layout of the plant. But after all, you also have the IT systems in place where all the machines are monitored, all the data is analyzed, they make decisions. And then thereafter comes the people, which is the heart of it. How do you train those people? How do you do capacity building for them? So we as a company, we cater to all these three segments, right? So that was the idea, where let's offer clients value-added services and a whole 360 angle, not only one aspect of the business journey.
How does your company ensure that the services are effectively implemented and customized to meet your client's specific needs?
So I think in this case I will focus more on just to also give you some background. I look into the IT division in the company, so I lead that. That means all the IT projects are under me. So I'll probably focus for this answer more on the IT aspect of projects. So in IT, we specialize in customized software development. That means we work, as per the client's requirements, and we develop the entire product as per their flow that they have in the company, as per their user journeys. So that's really a key differentiator when it comes to successfully delivering products for the clients, because a lot of times what happens with most IT companies or with majority of companies, that they have built a product and then they try to fit in that product in the client's business area or in the client's journey. So that, in a lot of cases that does work, but often because every client's business processes are so unique that you cannot have one solution fit for all. You have to customize it to fit their specific processes, to account for their specific needs, and that is where we excel. Initially, in the part of business requirement gathering, we definitely sit with our clients to try and understand their business, try to understand their business processes, and then only we recommend them what processes, what software can be custom fit to their needs, so that they don't feel like they have to change their processes when they're buying software from us, but they feel like our software is actually aiding their processes, not creating them additional burdens or additional processes now that they have to adhere.
Could you elaborate on some of the notable projects your company has undertaken and the impact they have had on their respective industries?
Sure. So one of our recent projects called Meri Life. So this was a project by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and by UNICEF India. The project is to actually see how not only individuals but also ministries, state governments are creating an impact on environment. So the not this year 5th June, but the year before that, Prime Minister Modi he came out with Mission Life, which was a lifestyle for environment campaign. Based on this campaign, the idea was to how do we nudge a behavioral change within ourselves, which are to take more pro-environment actions. So that is not only for individuals as citizens, but also for all ministries. How what kind of events they are doing, or what kind of actions they are taking, what kind of policies they are implementing. So since then, all ministries, all governments had to sort of adhere or adopt Mission Life within their working. To capture that, the ministry approached us almost 1 month before 5th June to create a portal where we could record all these events that were happening for the Mission Life or for Pro Environment. And within 1 month, we created a portal and a mobile app, and we launched it. And on 5th June, we had clocked more than 2 crore participants on the portal, where Prime Minister Modi himself tweeted about the platform, Amitabh Bachchan ji he tweeted about the platform, and all the Minister Bhupendra Yadav, who is the cabinet minister for or the minister for environment, he launched the app himself. So it was a huge success, and the kind of numbers we recorded within a span of 2 to 4 weeks were magnificent. So that's definitely one of our recent most notable projects. But we've also worked with clients like UNDP in India, where we created apps for SHGs and artisans in the state of Karnataka. So there, even our app, we had more than 2 lakh SHGs who got registered, with whose products we highlighted, because we wanted to give them an access to showcase their products, whether it could be food products, it could be handicraft products on a digital platform, an e-commerce platform, so they could reach out to wider audiences and sell their products online. So that's definitely some of the notable projects in IT. Yes.
How do you build and maintain trust on or with your clients, and what strategies do you employ to ensure your services align with the ever-changing demands of the knowledge economy?
So we just to give you some background on the kind of clients we work with, we are already working with in India. We work with unilateral or multilateral agencies like UNICEF, UNDP. Apart from that, we are also working with private clients like the Royal Family of Jaipur, the Royal Family of Udaipur. So all of these clients, there's definitely one thing in common, that we show them, or we give them the kind of trust that they want to continue working with us, not only for like one project, but for over the years. Right now in UN, in the past 2 years, we have delivered more than 9 projects just for UN alone. Right. Similarly, we've been working for the royal families since 2016 and 2018 respectively. So we do not believe in short-term goals. We believe in a long-term approach where we build that kind of trust and relations with the client. The way we do that is we always tell the client to that okay, let's start with a pilot project. Let's demonstrate that we're not here just to make money from you, but we actually care about your use cases, about your requirements. So we always start, at least my approach is, we start with a pilot project with any client, and then we convince them by delivering successfully the pilot project, and then continue the relations. And we always try, not only that's one thing that I always try to do for clients, is that the founders ourselves, me, my father, we always answer our clients' calls regardless of whichever day it is. And the same thing we convey to our employees, that we're not the kind of people who would always send our employees in front of our client that, okay, we are not available, you answer them, because that just shows a sort of sign of distrust, right? So a lot of these things, the practices where we are available for our clients, they don't feel like that we're a company where they cannot approach the directors, they cannot approach the owners, or they cannot change or they cannot have any influence in what product they are building. So these are the areas where we definitely support our clients. Apart from that, we are ISO certified, we are SAMAS certified, so we always follow quality standards, practices, and processes. that make a good difference.
Could you please tell us about the major challenges that you have faced with your clients and how do you mitigate them?
Sure. So I think one of the prime challenges in IT industry is that requirements they change very often, right? So when you start a project, that by the time you complete the project, you'll realize that what you started off with and what you have built is entirely different, and that is also because um, more often than ever, like there are a lot of people or within the organization who have get new ideas in IT. The clients also they feel that their requirements are evolving, so it is very difficult to sort of keep track of all those changes and ensure that we are not off tracking from what the objective we initially started with. And that's a big problem where a lot of products, by the time they finish their development life cycle, they fail to even get implemented in the company. And it happens with a lot of IT companies and a lot of clients. So what we do is we sit down with our client, we tell them that okay, let's put more focus on documenting your requirements, on understanding your requirements, and let us not get into development right away. Of course, you might have deadlines. We will try to adhere to those deadlines, but let us document everything as per the standard documentation practices followed in the IT industry. So we put a lot of focus on creating the FRS document, function requirement specification document, the SRS document, the feature list, the wireframes, whether they are low fidelity or high fidelity, and at each process we take approvals from the client and we document those and freeze them and then only move on to the development phase. And until then, that the next phase is completed, we do not allow for additional changes to come in, so that we ensure that whatever we promised we are able to deliver to the client, and the client also doesn't keep evolving in ways which impedes the project instead of adding value to it. And at the end, of course, we're still open to customizing it, but we focus that at least let us fulfill the objectives which were laid out initially, and then we customize and then what we also focus is that once you have a product, you go out in the market, you bring in the users, let them use the platform, and then based on the real user feedback, incorporate those changes instead of idioting in your own brains at what could be the right set of features for your customers, right? So take the customer feedback, but first build the product, launch it out, take the feedback, and then iterate.
So how do you plan to stay at the forefront of technological advancements and maintain your position as a leader in the competitive landscape?
One key aspect of what we've done throughout these past 20 years that we have always evolved as a company. We have changed the direction of our services. We've added new services to our portfolio. We have always followed the technological advancements that have been happening in the industry. So to stay top in the game, to offer the right kind of set of services to our clients. So one recent example that I would like to bring in here is that since this year has all been about how generative AI has taken over the world, you've seen ChatGPT came out, and with that came a host of developments in generative AI that we are now seeing even in our day-to-day lives as citizens. But for companies, of course, that means a lot of changes are happening. Also, the same means for our clients. So we are now starting generative AI consulting, where we will audit the existing business processes of companies, and then based on their existing business processes, based on the audit of those, we will tell them which generative AI applications or where generative AI can actually impact, and how can they leverage it to improve or increase efficiency in their business operations, and how much cost they can save and reduce with that. So that is another area where we are now diverging in, and we're also adopting generative AI in our existing operations. Wherever we feel that we can add or give more value to the client, we are adopting that. One other use case where we are adopting generative AI now is that um, how do organizations, not only like us, but organizations who've been around for 20, 30 years, what do they do with a lot of data that they have collected over the years? So a new use case with generative AI with large language models is that you can process or you can feed all your organization data to the large language model, train that model on your existing data, and then you can get answers from your own organization, from the wisdom, from whatever knowledge you've had or collected over the years. So that will really add a lot of value to the organizations, because most of these organizations have silos of data which are stored somewhere, but they don't know how to leverage it, how to utilize it. So that is another area where we want to, we're already working on, and we feel that that will be a good distinction and also bring a lot of value and change to the organizations.
So, what do you feel about the impact of AI for both employers as well as employees?
So, like I said, I mean, generative AI has, came in this year, but then a lot of, I mean, in terms of impact, yes, there's a lot of impact, which is both good and bad. Now, it all revolves around how we, both as employers and employees, really adapt to generative AI and to the ever-changing technology requirements, and how we leverage it for ourselves. So, I mean, talking from the employer's perspective, definitely companies now have to relook at how their existing processes are, where in which processes they can start using generative AI. Of course, not being completely dependent on AI, but also moderated, regulated, and adopted by letting their existing. I mean, and the biggest, I think, the biggest use case for them is how can they empower their current employees to train and adapt towards the use of generative AI, instead of thinking that, okay, hey, we are going to fire all our employees and just bring in generative AI. No, that's not going to be the solution, because it still needs human supervision, right? So you have to find ways of how do you empower existing employees to start using generative AI in their workflows, while also relooking that they do not compromise on privacy and other issues that are there with generative AI, with the copywriting issues. So that sort of training and fostering that culture is very important for employers. In terms of employees, I think as employees, definitely it is not about them feeling scared that our jobs, we might lose our jobs to generative AI or to AI in general, but they have to also think in terms of how can we start learning more about generative AI, how can we start using it in our workflows. For example, if you talk about a front end designer, right, that job is a lot, I mean, in terms of technology, that job is a lot at risk, because now you already have UI UX designers who are designing the entire flows, and then there is AI, which is basically writing the front end code just by using the UI UX design. So now the question comes of where do front end developers go? They have been doing this for 5-10 years now, but they are kind of useless. But I like to differ here is that no, the another approach for them to look at is, yes, it's a great tool that will, I mean, if for us it was taking 5 days for us to convert that into code, with AI maybe I can do it in 5 hours. But that means now they can actually work a lot more. They can do what they were doing in 1 week in maybe one day, and they can deliver that much more work and value to the organization, right? So I think it's not about feeling scared, but it's actually about adapting to it so that you're not left behind in the race. Because I'm sure there are people will still continue working in the areas they're working. They just have to now adapt to these new tools and actually use them in their own workflows. And the moment they start doing that, I think they will not only add value to the organizations where they work, but they will also grow and be future proof for the coming years.
Can you please provide our audience with the insights into how your company measures the success of its consulting solutions and services? Are there any specific metrics or indicators that you rely on?
So for us, I mean, I'll talk about two kind of verticals that we work in here. One is project management consultancy or engineering consultancy division. There, the kind of clients we work with, we start out from project conception. So a recent project where we're working on with is in Haryana with Hafed, where we designed a turmeric oil processing plant. Now, this turmeric oil processing is happening for the first time in India. Never before we've seen turmeric oil being processed at an industry scale. So this whole process had to be conceptualized and designed from scratch. So we had to work with universities in the labs to actually formulate a whole process and then see how that process can be replicated in industry scale. We are talking about on a daily basis using 8 tons of turmeric and processing that much amount per day. So the kind of quantum and scale is very large. So for us, the success is really when we are designing that concept, but we are also helping the clients execute that process, build the plant until it is commissioned and launched, and then see it scale, right? So for us, a lot of clients in the past we've worked with, we have successfully built their manufacturing sites, not by only consulting, but as a PMC as well. And then we have seen them grow and expand. So that is really for us a good measure of to see how the clients are utilizing our knowledge and how they are succeeding. Um, in terms of IT, for example, Mary Life was one of our big successes. Where I mean, for us, success in IT is about user base. As long as the IT products that we built are being used by the intended user, then we see that as a success. And the more the people can use it, the easier they feel, and the while using the application, or the more intuitive the application is. Those are some of our key matrices of how we see that whether a project is really making that impact or not. In terms of also in IT, a lot of our projects are also fulfilling a social cause. So when we work with agencies like UN, we also see that not only these are projects for the industry, but we're also doing actually creating a social impact like this in terms of Mary Life. It wasn't about the environment. In terms of Karnataka, when you're working with artisans, it is about promoting their livelihood. So those social metrics are also for us important when we are creating a project.
So, who are your mentors and what has been your biggest inspiration?
So, I actually, before Kamtech, I was studying in Germany for 7 years. I did my bachelor's and master's there. And when I also worked at Daimler, Mercedes, the parent company of Mercedes-Benz, for almost 2 years. So there I was working in the body shop planning department in digital transformation. So actually, Industry 4.0, which is now a big term, was coined by Germany. And by being in Mercedes, at the core plant, the headquarters of Daimler, I could really see how technology was coming into play in manufacturing and engineering in the industry, and how it was creating an impact. And for me, it was a big eye opener to see how those things were merging, how we could leverage the advanced technologies in our use cases. So even there, I was working as a data scientist in and creating a business intelligence app for them. So although I studied mechanical engineering, I always felt closer to IT. And when I was working in Daimler, I had very good mentors, or even my boss there was very supportive. So that was really what helped me transition from a mechanical engineer to more in IT, because I felt like I could really understand the requirements from the engineering side as well as being a core engineer, but I could also understand the problems from the technical side as well, which the developers were facing, and I could find a match between those two, so to actually ensure that the project was being executed. And that is how I felt that okay, maybe I'm more suited to the role where I could be a great product manager or project manager. From that started my journey when I came to India and joined the company and led and brought new projects to the company and executed them. So, and of course, my father through the whole process has been a great mentor.
What are your views of the Hindi domains that are made available by the NIXI, that is National Internet Exchange of India? Have you bought a .bharat domain?
For because it was I think trending at the moment, yes, I did buy one, but then I still feel that I think we need to define more specific use cases for the Bharat domain, because in terms of global usage, still I think the usage would be very limited. Because I mean, .com is still the most favored domain. Even .in domain is picking up, but still, I mean, always the company would prefer if they had the .com domain first, and then the other domains to cater to the more individual markets, right? So I think in those areas, I feel the clear use case and understanding of the .bharat domain is missing. I think once maybe that is given by the government or broadly, I think then we could be looking at more usage for that. But now, as of now, I think still has a long way to go. Yeah.
So, as a young leader in the IT industry, what advice would you give to the startups or the young professionals who are just starting out in this sector?
So, I mean, being a young leader, and actually, I also have my own startup called EduBit, which is an AI-based startup helping students transition from colleges to the workplace. So we offer them a lot of AI tools for career assessment, for CV building, for skill assessments, and also for doing virtual interview practice and then applying to jobs and experiences. So I think definitely for all these young startups, please incorporate technology, and don't feel afraid of using or incorporating technology that maybe you are not a developer, and then how are you supposed to navigate all of that. I think with AI, a big advantage has been that I mean, with AI, the term prompt engineering has come around, where I mean, that's the new sort of engineering where You just need to know how effectively to communicate with AI to get your work done, right? I mean, of course, it's important to have the domain knowledge, but as long as you can communicate your requirements clearly to AI, it can help you get your work done, right? So that doesn't always mean that you need to be a developer or you need to be a core designer or someone very good at what you do. But if you have good domain knowledge, then you can actually work with AI and let the AI be the expert in its domain, but you can leverage that. So I think for young people, definitely do not close off your minds to new topics, new areas, thinking that okay, I just want to be expert in this very small niche area, because sooner than later AI will replace you in that very specific niche area. And instead, try to have a more holistic view of what is happening, so that you're a master of a lot of things instead of being a master of only one thing. And then that would help you not only in your professional journey, but also if you are a startup owner, or if you're thinking of starting your own business or expanding your business later. In all those areas, I think having a good broad knowledge will definitely be very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saksham. It was a pleasure having a word with you. The insights from you have surely moved our audience and have definitely given them a good knowledge.
Subscribe to IT Voice for all things tech, from gadget reviews to industry insights to the latest tech news.